What we'll do is usually we start every class. Now some are old veterans, they already know. For those who are new, we usually start the class with prayers, which is in your Bhagavad Gita, introduction, page number 1. You can open to that. So every class we'll be starting with chanting at 11:15, and then takes about 5 minutes because we do it really slow. Usually our daily rounds are not that slow, but in class we do it that slow. And then we do our prayers, which takes about 2 minutes. That's it. And then after that we start our Bhagavad Gita. Today we'll be starting from chapter 1, verse number 1. Now I'll be explaining the flow of the class. Now every chapter, what we've done is that we've divided it into acronym. Each chapter is going to have an acronym. Acronym means the first letter denotes a particular section of the entire chapter. Say for example chapter number 1 that we're going to start today. Chapter 6 on Tuesday. Give me a second. Deenabandhu jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hariye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today is the 18th of October. Is that right? So what we do in this class is we go verse by verse, right? Chapter 1, the name of chapter 1 is, can you read it? Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That's page number 33. Is it the same page number in your book, Monica?
The small book also?
Small book, I think. Is the same? Page 41 in the small book, in the big book it's page 33. So what we do is we're going verse by verse, and just for some system what we have done, I told you, is we've broken down the entire chapter into acronyms. Now chapter 1 has 46 verses. And what we do is we break it down for better understanding. So chapter number 1, the acronym is doubt. D-O-U-B-T.
I would have been better equipped if I knew that you had some books or something.
I'll ask her to get some notebooks for you.
I have, I think, extra.
Neha, I'm very sorry to disturb you. Can you please find Yuga for me, because she's not answering her phone. The duster I couldn't find. I need some writing pads in the office. I'm in the class. She's here. Thanks. No, you don't get it. I'm sending Yuga. I just found her. I need some writing pads, about 5, 6. I need some pens. Yeah?
But forms stay.
Forms. Yuga, nothing is ready. I'm very disappointed. And you're not answering her phone also. So as I told you, chapter 1 has 46 verses. And this entire chapter we'll be breaking it down into 5 parts. Part D, O, U, B and T. D stands for Dhritarashtra. and Duryodhan. The first 12 verses of chapter, these are the verses, in brackets it's going to be verses. Verse number 1 to verse number 12 of chapter 1 is dialogues or conversation initiated by Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, and that's why the D here. Becomes easy to remember. O stands for ominous results. That is verses 13 up to 16. 20. Thank you. Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan 1 to 12. That's a dialogue between them. And then there were some omens, some what do you call omens? Some signs which were very relevant as to the loss of the Kurus. The Duryodhan side were definitely going to lose. For that there were some bad omens, and there were some good omens for the Arjuna side. So that we're going to see between verse 30 to 20. Uncertainty. This is where dialogues between Arjuna, he actually starts speaking by the verse 21st. That's where Arjuna starts speaking. He is not sure whether he actually wants to go ahead with this war. So that's uncertainty. And then with such a decision, he is bewildered himself, he is confused, and he is wondering, what should I do? Should I fight? Will that make me happy? Should I not fight? Will that make me happy? Should I just withdraw? Should I just run away? Should I commit suicide? Yeah, so that is bewilderment. The last point is verses 31 up to 42. Sorry, that's not 46, it's 42. It's 46, na?
It is 46.
Yes, 46. And there is a turning point where Arjuna actually puts down his weapons and he tells Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight. We're talking about a Kurukshetra battlefield, and here the hero Arjuna has put down his weapons. Now quickly we'll do a recap. What happens before, what really happened, what actually, even if you see verse number 1, we're going to start with verse number 1, and that is a dialogue from Gita, actually begins with Dhritarashtra speaking, which will give us an entire background of what this entire Mahabharata is all about, what brought about this Kurukshetra war, everything, in a whole gist is in this one shloka, because this shloka basically speaks about the predicament of, or what is inside Dhritarashtra's head, you know, the khichdi, inside someone's head, right? So that is, this khichdi will be revealed in chapter 1, verse number 1. So what we do usually, we follow a format. Before starting every chapter or every section of a chapter, we go through all the verses in that section. So the format will be, we go from verse 1 to 12 along with the translation. It's like a marathon. So we understand what is the content of the entire section. And then we come back to verse number 1. And what do? We elaborate it. The explanation comes on. So then the content is in your head. So you've not missed out everything. It's okay? So 1 to 12, quickly we do a marathon. You repeat after me. I read a shloka. Bhagavad Gita is there. Yeah, it's there in that corner. You can pass it on. You can't? Yeah. Rashid. Sonali.
Yeah. New ones, is it?
Yeah, can.
I have. I got last night.
Come. That's extra?
Yeah.
Get.
Here.
Yes. This book? Yeah, sure.
The writing pad.
Oh yeah, sorry. You need one?
Yeah. You tell me.
Let's ask. Pens? Anyone? Pens and writing pads?
There was something.
Writing pad? Pass it. Monica, you just pass it that side to Shobha. A book and a pen, both? Anyone else? Pooja? I think you have them. Narrated by Vedyas, written by Ganesh. Yes, he was like that stenographer. writes fatafat. He's good at writing. In fact, the entire body of Vedas was written by Lord Ganesha. Dhritarashtra, can we start verses 1 to 12? Dhritarashtra uvacha. Please repeat. Dhritarashtra uvacha. Dharmakshetre kurukshetre. Dharmakshetre kurukshetre. Samaveta-yuyutsavah. Samaveta-yuyutsavah. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva. Kim akurvata Sanjaya. Kim akurvata Sanjaya. Can we read the translation together? Start. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay,
after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled
at place of pilgrimage, desiring to fight, what did they do? So now it's a marathon. We go on to the next because we'll come back for explanations. Please repeat. Sanjaya uvacha. Verse number 2. Sanjaya uvacha. Drishtva tu pandavanikam. Drishtva tu pandavanikam. Vyudham duryodhanastada. Vyudham duryodhanastada. Acharyam upasangamya. Acharyam upasangamya. Raja vachanam abravit. Raja vachanam abravit. Together, translation, start. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Now the second D, that's Duryodhan speaking. Pashyatam Pandu Putranam. Pashyatam Pandu Putranam. Acharya Mahatim Chamum. Acharya Mahatim Chamum. Vyudham Drupada Putrena. Vyudham Drupada Putrena. Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Translation together, start. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Next verse, now getting a hang of it?
Yes.
Verse 4. Atra Shura Maheshvasa. Repeat. Atra Shura Maheshvasa. Bhimarjuna Samayudhi. Bhimarjuna Samayudhi. Yuyudhano Viratascha. Yuyudhano Viratascha. Drupadascha Maharataha. Drupadascha Maharataha. Translation. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhim and Arjun, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata and Drupada. Verse number 5. Drishtaketushchekitanaha. Kashirajascha viryavan. Kashirajascha viryavan. Purujit Kunti Bhojascha. Purujit Kunti Bhojascha. Shaivyascha Narapungavaha. Shaivyascha Narapungavaha. Translation. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj and Shaibya. Verse number 6. Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta. Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta. Uttamaujascha Viryavan. Uttamaujascha Viryavan. Saubhadro Dropadeyascha. Saubhadro Dropadeyascha. Sarva eva Maharataha. Sarva eva Maharataha. Translation. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Verse number 7. Asmakam tu vishishtaye,
Asmakam tu vishishtaye,
Tani bodha dvijottama,
Tani bodha dvijottama,
Nayaka mama sainyasya,
Nayaka mama sainyasya,
Samnyartham tan bravinite.
Samyatam Brahmite.
Translation. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Verse number 8. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha,
Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha,
Kripascha Samatim Jayaha,
Kripascha Samatim Jayaha,
Ashwathama Vikarnascha,
Ashwathama Vikarnascha,
Saumadattis tathaiva cha.
Saumadattis tathaiva cha.
Translation. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Saumadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. This is still Duryodhan speaking to his teacher Drona. Verse number 9. Anye cha bahavaha shura,
Anye cha bahava shura,
Madarthe tyaktva jivitaha,
Madarte tyakta jivitaha,
Nana shastra praharanaha,
Nana shastra praharanaha,
Sarve yuddha visharadaha.
Sarve yuddha visharadaha.
Translation. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. 3 more verses to end this section. Aparyaptam tadasmakam,
Aparyaptam tadasmakam,
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam,
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam,
Paryaptam tvidametesham,
Paryaptam tvadamedesham,
Balam bhimabhirakshitam.
Balam bhimabhirakshitam.
Translation. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Verse number 11. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu,
Ayaneshu cha sarveshu,
Yata bhagam avastitaha,
Yata bhagam avastitaha,
Bhishmamevabhirakshantu,
Bhishmamevabhirakshantu,
Bhavantah sarva eva hi.
Bhavantah sarva eva hi.
Translation. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Last verse of the section, verse number 12. Tasya sanjanayam harsham,
Tasya sanjanam
Guru vriddaha pitamaha,
Guru vridha pitamaha,
Simhanadam vinodyochehe,
Simhanadam vinadyoche,
Shankham dadmau pratapavan.
Shankham pradmo pratapavan.
Translation. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. Right? So can we go back to verse number 1? It was page 33 in the small book, page 31 in 41 in the big book. I think I said ulta. Yeah.
Big book is page 33.
can we repeat the shloka again? Dhritarashtra uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Mamakaha Pandavashchaiva Kimma kurvata Sanjaya. Translation, start again. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Right? So we begin with the first acronym of chapter 1. The first part of 5 sections of the chapter 1 is D. D stands for, as we see in this verse, Dhritarashtra starts speaking. Now he is talking to his secretary, Sanjay. Now Sanjay himself is a warrior. He's supposed to be part of the battlefield. What is he sitting with Dhritarashtra for? Vedya sends Sanjay back from the battlefield to sit with the blind Dhritarashtra. Now Mahabharata begins with the Kuru dynasty. King Kuru is he was a great warrior, and at that time his line of descendants, and then there was King Shantanu who was there, and he lost his so many children in the womb of Mother Ganga. Ganga was his wife, Shantanu's wife, and after losing a lot of children, I think finally he stopped Ganga from drowning another baby. She was actually drowning this baby in there's so many babies that she had. She was continuously drowning them because she had a curse. And when he stopped, he got back a son called Devavrat, who later on, because of a great vow, got the name Bhishma. So he was the eldest. Bhishma is the eldest, and then he took a vow not to get married. And then after Shantanu left, his wife Satyavati didn't have any other choice. Right? She had another son called Vichitravirya, who also particularly died before giving birth to any heir to the throne. She ran to Bhishma. Bhishma said, I cannot produce any heirs to the thrones because I'm a celibate now. It's a vow. I cannot change that. So then finally, with divine arrangement, Vedyas was asked to conceive with the wives of Vichitravirya. And that's how Dhritarashtra was born and Pandu was born. Dhritarashtra apparently being blind, Pandu, who was actually the second child, was supposed to sit on the throne because Dhritarashtra was blind, particularly couldn't be the king. So then Pandu was sitting on the throne, and then again he had 2 wives, Kunti and Manjari. Right? And then Kunti gave birth to 3 sons. That was Yudhishthir, do you remember? Bhim, and the celebrated Arjun, the hero of the Kurukshetra battle. And Manjari gave birth to twins, that's Nakul and Sahadev. Right? So with these 5 children, Pandu left his body and they got back to Hastinapur. Now Dhritarashtra was just a caretaker king because he was not fit to be king because he was born blind. Now he was just sitting on the throne, and actually who was doing the administration? Bhishma, because he was much more experienced, a great general. Because of Bhishma sitting there, this Kurukshetra, the whole Hastinapur was very much protected because of this strong personality. And no one dared to attack this particular kingdom of Hastinapur, and which is now Delhi. Actually, the old Delhi is actually Hastinapur. So then Hastinapur was protected by Bhishma, and these 5 sons of Pandu were growing with Kunti, because Manjari also left her body along with King Pandu. So Kunti was there alone with her 5 children. On the other side, there was Dhritarashtra and his wife Gandhari, and they gave birth to 101 children, that is 100 sons and 1 daughter, Dushala. Right? The eldest being Duryodhan, so he was quite of like, I'll be speaking like a representative was Duryodhan, and the second brother was Dushasan. So these 2 will be more, you'll find their names more because they were like representative of all the 100 children, being the eldest. Right? So here we see that we've all heard, I'm sure, Mahabharata a little bit, that how, since birth, since childhood, Duryodhan was continuously envious of the Pandavas because he knew that technically who's going to be the king? It's going to be Yudhishthir. He was born before Duryodhan. Also, the minute he is 18, from Dhritarashtra, the kingdom automatically goes to Yudhishthir. So he was not very happy about this, because he wanted his father to continue so that it passes on to him and not to Yudhishthir. So he's not very happy about that. Continuously he made efforts to actually kill the Pandavas along with Kunti. So staying in such a hostile environment, still Kunti trained her children so well, taught them to be forgiving, taught them to be tolerant. Finally, where they broke all the, rules and regulations when they tried to strip Draupadi naked in a rigged match. It was actually a rigged match. The bones of Shakuni were used to make those dice. So obviously it kept falling in the favor of Duryodhan, and that's how Yudhishthir kept losing. And they tried to strip naked their wife Draupadi. And that was too much for the Pandavas to take. And finally they were sent for 13 years of exile, saying that when they come back, they get back their Indraprasth. And when they did come back, after a lot of torture, so much of austerity, so much of pain, 13 years is a long time. Yeah, and there was no Facebook and BBM, you are completely, out of touch. Exile means you can stay in no human civilization. You have to be in a forest. Of course, the 13th year was different. They had to be incognito. Means if anyone recognizes them, they have to repeat the entire 13 years. So when they come back, what happens? Duryodhan says, I am not going to give you a piece of land through which you can drive a pin through. So saying this, that means I'm not going to give you even a land which you can drive a pin through. So then the Pandavas were left. They are kings by occupation, by profession. They are supposed to rule. They cannot beg, cannot do anything. So at that point of time, they decided war is inevitable. So here at this Kurukshetra battle, the entire globe, the Kshatriyas of the entire globe came together for this war. And today we are talking about a discussion between Dhritarashtra. Obviously he wanted to know what is happening on the battlefield, right? It's like I put a khane ka whole thali, a nice, beautiful thali in front of Sonali, and I tell, so what did she do? What did she do? What could she possibly do with that thali? Eat it. So why is Dhritarashtra asking this question? What did they do? Because maybe he was a little bit uncertain that are they really going to fight, or So if you see, the first word here is Dharma Kshetre. He knew that this place Kurukshetra is not an ordinary place. It's a very holy place. It's a dham. Right? Why? Because it's called a dham because a lot of denizens of the heaven, great yogis, would practice their tapasya and yagyas in that place of Kurukshetra. Today if you go to Kurukshetra, it's 2 hours a drive from Delhi, I believe. It's a whole city, it's a whole township. So this field was not like a football field or, it was a huge place. Today there's a whole township in place of Kurukshetra. So in this entire place, who were on the side of the Pandavas? So many warriors were there. There were 7 million warriors on the side of the Pandavas. And on the side of the Kurus, there were 11 million soldiers. Almost double. And still Dhritarashtra is asking, what did they do? Did they fight? Maybe that place is holy, so maybe the Pandavas think, renunciation has come about. Sometimes when you come to the temple, you feel like, so peaceful, I don't want anything. Sometimes this sattvic thoughts come in your head. So he was praying, he was begging, he was thinking, maybe the Pandavas think a little bit sattvic today and just give up this war and walk away. And what if, this too much sattvic thoughts come in my children and they give up everything, to mera kya hoga? Politicians are not able to give up their kursi. Dhritarashtra was something of that mental state. So here in this verse, we get to know what's really going on in his head.
I believe whatever I had read, there was more doubt for Duryodhan in Dhritarashtra's mind, that maybe good sense prevails in him by the fact that Krishna is not on their side at all.
Yes.
And that Bhishma Pitama very forcibly, because it was his duty towards the throne,
Yes.
is gone to the battlefield, not
Not really willing to kill the Pandavas. That's right.
That was what I believe not that Pandavas would give up.
That was also a part of the thing. It's written in the purport, it's written by Srila Prabhupada, that actually Dhritarashtra did have this thing.
Because
So maybe the Pandavas will give
He was not
up.
having vision, but he knew that this is the end of Duryodhana.
Yeah. It's, sometimes parents do know that eventually what is going to happen. And he did have a doubt because the Pandavas were virtuous by birth. He knew it. That maybe sometime this might get.
I think he explained also that the very fact Krishna is not your Sarthi, not even on your side, and he is always taken the side of good. You should understand by that and come back.
He clearly did not have this in mind. Because this Mahabharata was basically the trigger factor was that gambling match.
Yes.
And Dhritarashtra was the one who sent the invitation to Yudhishthir for the gambling match. If he had this in mind, if he had any corrective measures for his son, he wouldn't do this thing. And when Draupadi was being stripped, he did not speak anything. In fact, he was asking his secretary Sanjay, what's happening? What's happening? Is it done? Is she naked? These were the words in the Mahabharata spoken by Dhritarashtra.
Do anything.
Sorry?
Nor did the Pandavas also do
That also, but right now when you're talking about Dhritarashtra, that's why I wanted to point that out. That he never had this thing in mind. Basically, he was thinking of himself and using Duryodhana's shoulders, for the blame. He's the one who was weak-minded, spiritually and by vision also.
I guess, that explains a lot.
Yeah. So he was worried whether the battle is really going to happen or not. So in the second verse, can we go to the second verse now? Sanjaya uvacha Drishtva tu pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodanastada Acharyam upasangamya Raja vachanam abravit. Can we read the translation together? Start. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Right? So here Sanjay his words are a little diplomatic if you see. He's calling Dhritarashtra a king, Raja, and he's addressing Duryodhan also as Raja. There cannot be two kings in the same monarchy. There has to be one king. There can be many queens, but there has to be one king. So why is he calling Duryodhan also a king? Because he knows that Dhritarashtra is a king for only namesake, whereas the actual things are being done by Duryodhan. So he is asking him that don't worry, it is going to go on. In fact, seeing the vast army of Pandavas, which was actually less than Duryodhan, still he was wondering that after 13 years of exile, Pandavas should have been completely cut off from social life. How is it possible that even 7 million soldiers are standing on their side? How is that possible? So he was worried.
Krishna's whole of the thing.
Krishna's army was on Duryodhan's side.
Oh yeah.
Because he was asked to
Krishna
choose,
was on this
the
side.
Narayani
Yeah,
Sena was with Duryodhan. Krishna was all alone.
Yeah.
So who were with the Pandavas?
There were a lot of them. We'll be seeing the names now. Duryodhan counts them.
Exiles, whichever kingdom they were helping or in any way.
During the exile, they were in the forest. They couldn't enter any kingdom. There was only one king, Virat. That was Uttara's father.
In the last one.
Uttara's father.
But,
That's a long story. The story goes. Sorry, would you complete what you were saying?
I think Krishna's Nanihal side was fully on Pandava's side.
Nanihal side means.
His mama's, his parents, Nan and
They were cowherd people. They
there
were
was another
Vasudev.
kingdom of
Except for Satyaki. Satyaki was the commander-in-chief of the Narayani Sena. He chose to fight in Pandava's side. There's no one else. Everyone. Balram went for a Tirth Yatra. He said, I've got nothing to do. I stand neutral. So he went off. Other than that, there was no one on this side. Of course, Draupadi's parents and everyone was on this side. Drupad, Drishtadumna. Drishtadumna, in fact, we'll see his name now in this shloka, the third shloka. We read the second one right now? Yeah. Sorry. And she has... Yeah, there's so many names coming now. We'll be trying to see each one of them. She asked a question, why was Narayani Sena on that side? Because they had a choice. Now, Krishna is a friend of Duryodhan also and a friend of Arjun also. He's actually related to Arjun also, though, more than being family friends. Now, so he said that they were going to fight. They were actually trying to make friends with all the warriors throughout the globe. So when they approached Krishna, apparently Arjun and Duryodhan came at the same time. And so, long story, both of them were, so he gave them a choice. I'll make it short. He gave them a choice that you either choose my army or you choose me, who's not going to pick up any weapons. So Arjun chose Krishna, and Duryodhan said, oh, it's okay, now what do? I have the only Sena left, so I'll take that. In fact, he wanted to choose that. So he was kind of... So here we see that Sanjay says, Duryodhan has gone to Dronacharya, the commander-in-chief of his forces, and now he is discussing some strategy with Drona. Now, after seeing Dhritarashtra's mind, we'll be seeing Duryodhan's mind. You see, with words, you can immediately make out what is going on in a person's... It's better to keep quiet. Pashyatam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Yudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimatam. Translation, start. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. Now the son of Drupad is a good friend of Duryodhan also. And apparently he doesn't take his name. His name is Drishtadumna, the brother of Draupadi. Right? And still he doesn't take his name. He says son of Drupad. This is a kind of a political move to kind of incite Drona's sleeping emotions, because he did not have a very good relationship with Drupad. Drupad and Drona studied in the same Gurukul system, in school, same school. They're like schoolmates, classmates, and they were very good friends. They were thick friends at that time. And Dronacharya came from a very poor background. He was a poor Brahmin, whereas Drupad was a prince. So Drupad said that when they were parting ways, when you finish your 10th standard and you have your farewell and then you're moving out. And at that time, out of a lot of emotion, Drupad told Drona that at any point of time in your life, you need anything, just come to me. Yeah. So Drona said, yeah, sure. And after a lot of time, when Drupad got married and he was having his entire kingdom, he was a king. And they were not in touch, and Drona also was married and he had a child named Ashwathama, who also later on became a great warrior. Now Ashwathama, they were so poor, they couldn't even afford milk for their child, which was like a basic necessity for a child. They couldn't even afford that. So while playing one day, Ashwathama's friends had a prank on Ashwathama. They just took some, flour. You just get some gehu ka atta, some maida. They mixed it with water, and they gave it to Ashwathama, saying that, oh, you've never had milk in your life. You take this. Oh, this is milk. They were kind of making fun of him. So he was so happy to have a bowl of milk, that he went and showed it to his father. That, see, I have a bowl of milk. And when he, kind of took a smell of it, and he realized this is not milk, and he felt so bad for his child that I can't even afford to give a basic thing to my child. This is so bad. And at that time he remembered Drupad's words, that if you need anything, just come to me. He said, I'll just beg a cow from Drupad. That's all I want. So in the king's stables there are like thousands of cows. For him to give one cow will not be a big deal. So he went all the way to Drupad. Until that time, Drupad had become very proud. And he kicked Drona out, saying that friends is between equals. We cannot be friends. And at that time, Drona was very shocked. He was very hurt. So later on, when he got employment in Hastinapur, to be like a guru for martial arts, for the children of Dhritarashtra, that's the 100 sons. He was training them in archery and everything like that. basically martial arts. Basically, it was warfare. And then later on, there was Guru Dakshina time. Of course, the 5 Pandavas also studying under him. 105 students he had, along with other princes also. So, time of Guru Dakshina, he said, "Get Drupad to my feet. I don't want any remuneration." So then Duryodhan came ahead and he said, "Yes, we are 100 of us. We'll immediately go, get Drupad here." And he marched out. And what happened? Drupad just took a few seconds to bash up all of them. And Duryodhan just came back with such disgrace. And Drona was so hurt. He was thinking, my God, this is like a double insult. And at that time Arjun stepped forward along with his brothers. He said, "We want to pay our Guru Dakshinas too." And this time when only 5 of them without any army, they attacked the entire army of Drupad. They caught Drupad, took off his crown, roped him up, supposed to be the future Sasur, and he got them, put them on the feet of Drona, and Drona was very happy. And at that time Drupad took wow, I'm going to have a son who will behead Drona. And that time he had a fire sacrifice, and in this fire sacrifice there was a 16-year-old boy who came out of fire, along with a 16-year-old girl. So the boy was Drishtadhyumna, who Duryodhan refers here as son of Drupad. Draupadi became the wife of the Pandavas. So apparently they were related, and Drishtadhyumna took the side of Pandavas, of course.
Anything interesting cooking module later?
Cooking module? Yeah.
Class.
I'll announce it at 12:30. Remind me.
I'm bringing sweets.
Acha, okay, thank you. What was I? Drupad. So here, Duryodhan is rather a little bit upset that he knew that Drona and Bhishma, both of them had their heart towards the Pandavas. So he wanted to show that, you remember Drupad, his son? In fact, Drupad he was so expert. What he did, he sent his son to Drona to get trained. And Drona was such a liberal. Drishtadhyumna? To Drona. Yeah, to get trained, because he was the best at that time. And in spite of knowing that this person is born to behead me, he still trained him the best way that he trained everyone else. So Drona was a very high caliber and very high integrity person. He did not make any difference. He said, if it's my destiny, so be so. So at that time he was lenient. So Duryodhan wanted to point out, see your leniency, what's it, it's cost us so much. Because this entire warfare, it's not just like everyone attacks, as they show it on TV, just attack and everyone, it's a perfect warfare. They stand in a particular phalanx. We'll be seeing this word later. A phalanx is a particular formation that they make. Sometimes it's a formation of a crescent moon, it's a formation of an eagle, formation of a trident, and accordingly, at that spot itself, the commander has to arrange his opposite side in such a way that will combat this particular formation. Yeah. So it's on there, it's right there, you have to do it. Right? So it's very difficult, maneuvering millions of soldiers. So it takes a lot of art, takes a lot of talent. So here he says, son of Drupad, your intelligent disciple, he's expertly arranged. Pandava sings, so please now I think you should leave your leniency. So can we go to verse number 4? Atra shura maheshvasa Bhimarjuna samayudhi Yuyudhano viratascha Drupadascha maharatah. Translation together, start. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and again Drupad. Again he put the name of Drupad. Right? Now this Yuyudhan, Virat and Drupad are contemporaries of Bhishma. They are extremely powerful. Is it okay? They are extremely powerful. And he is comparing these veteran soldiers who fought like millions of battles to Bhima and Arjuna, who are apparently very young. Because Duryodhan had this thing in his head that if there's anyone who will kill me on this battlefield, it's got to be Bhim or Arjuna. Because they are great warriors. So that kind of fear is coming out here. He's comparing everyone to them. Verse number 4. Drishtaketushchekitanaha Kashirajascha viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibyascha Narapungavaha. Translation. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj and Shaibya. All these are also veteran soldiers. They are extremely senior, and Duryodhana was a little perplexed of seeing them on the other side instead of his side. So he mentions Drishtaketu, Chekitan. Kashi was at that time a very, very great. In fact, even the Mughals had to invade Kashi. They attacked Kashi 17 times. Can you imagine? Almost like, who's that guy? I forgot his name. The first fellow to come in? Ghazni. He attacked Kashi. He didn't go to any other place in India. He became rich. Can you imagine 18 years of his life? He came only to one place. It takes a lot of time to come from Afghanistan down, and that was only by foot. They didn't have charter planes to attack. Right? Coming to Kashi 17 times, it like half of his age is just gone and planning and coming because Kashi was so rich. Attacking one place so many times and every time carrying loads and loads of stuff away to your place is not a joke. So Kashi Raj at that time, can you imagine how well off? The Kashi in the north, that place, it was very affluent in those times. Yeah. Kunti Bhoj is Kunti's father, so you can imagine how senior, and Shaibi also is a very senior soldier. Verse number 6. Yudhamanyuscha vikranta Uttamaujascha viryavan Saubhadro Dropadiyascha Sarvaiva Maharataha. Translation. There are mighty Yudhamanyu, very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Now he is quite amazed because these boys are so young. Draupadi, child is what? Abhimanyu, his name? His name is not mentioned, it's just son of Subhadra. He was 16. Can you imagine your child being 16, going to a warship like Kurukshetra with millions of soldiers there? And these, a chariot, right now we might think, okay, chariot is like a ghoda gadi that we see at church gate, near that. It's the size of this room. Each chariot would be the size of this room. You have where all your supplies is kept, your spears, your lances, your swords, your arrows, your extra bows, everything is arranged in that chariot itself. So you have to take care of it. It requires a great warrior to do that. And these boys, so young, they're not fighting on any horse, they're not fighting on an elephant, they're fighting on a chariot. So they are Maharathis. There would be, genres of fighters, right, starting from foot. Someone being on a particular weapon also would describe their standard. And someone on a horse, someone on an elephant, someone on a chariot is like the highest. These 16-year-old boys, 18-year-old boys, 20-year-old boys, the sons of Draupadi also were very young. And he was wondering, my God, these boys are Maharathis. They are fighting on chariots. How can these boys do it? So he was kind of, in the exile, what happened was all these boys were being trained under Krishna's, they were at Dwarka, they were being trained there. So that's why they became Maharathis. Verse number 7. Asmakam tu vishishtaye Tani bodha dvijottama Nayaka mama sainyasya Samnyartham tan ravimite. Translation, start. But for your information, O best of Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who were especially qualified to lead my military force. Now Duryodhana became a little aware of what is going on with him. He's going on, glorifying the opposite party. So what happens is, the morale of your own soldiers is kind of, oh my god, oh, these people are there. If you have to give a speech and great people are sitting, great celebrities are sitting, you can imagine what happens, you kind of start sweating. So he's realizing that I'm kind of, putting a whole thumbs down to my team. So then he starts realizing that I shouldn't be doing that. Let me describe the people on our side. Right? So then he starts, verse number 8. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samatim Jayah Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saumadattistataivacha. Translation, start. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. Now all these names that he's given, he starts with, of course, Drona. Now the commander has to be the most powerful. So the first name he takes is Drona. Then he says Bhishma, who is like a veteran. Now immediately after the name of Bhishma is Duryodhana's contemporary Karna, who is supposed to be very junior. How is he taking their name together? Because he knew that Karna and Bhishma just don't get along. And if I don't take Karna's name, Karna is going to desert me. Right? Actually, the thing is that before the conch shell is blown in the battlefield, you can switch sides. Yeah, that was allowed. And of course, after the battlefield begins, you can't do that. Till that time, you can immediately or conveniently just take your army and just walk to the other side. So Duryodhana did not want that to happen. He didn't want Karna to show that he thinks of him any lower than Bhishma. So he takes his name immediately after such senior warrior. And then is Kripacharya, who's also very senior. Ashwathama is, now Kripacharya is Drona's Jijaji. So he says that, Jijaji, you understand? Sisters, yeah. So what is he saying? He's just giving all the relatives names of Drona just to, give him a boost. Ashwathama is again Drona's son. Then he takes the name of Vikarna. Vikarna is one of the brothers of Duryodhana. He could have taken Dushasan's name. He could have taken Shakuni's name. There's so many others. But Vikarna was the only one who objected when they were trying to strip Draupadi. So he's kind of thinking that, this person spoke up at that time when no one else was speaking up. Maybe today in this battlefield he might change. So let me show him that, he's also great. You kind of, put in a butter him so that he stays on my side along with his army. And then he calls out the son of Somadatta, Bhurishrava, who was also a great warrior in that battlefield that day. So kind of he's making, you can imagine, he's such a political character, he's choosing all the right words, he's constantly doing it. Verse number 9. Anyecha bahavaha shura Madarthi tyakta jivitaha Nana shastra praharanaha Sarve yuddha visharadaha. Translation, start. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and are all experienced in military science. So here he's kind of predicting that everyone's come here to just die. Nothing's going to happen. He's saying that all of them have come here to lay down their life. It's like, they're dying for me. See, I'm so important. So all of them are well equipped in different kinds of weapons. Today we have only fire weapons. That's all we have. And at that time there were tornado weapons, there were water weapons, there were, weapons which would bring yawn, to put off the soldiers to sleep. There were all different kinds of subtle and gross weaponry. And everyone on his side was experienced in fight, in each kind of these things. So he was showing that, No? Even we have a lot. And there were in the purport, Prabhupada mentions names like Jayadratha, who was Dushala, that is Duryodhana's Jijaji, Kritavarma, Shalya. Shalya was actually the brother of Madri. That is Nakul and Sahadev's mama, and actually he was fighting on the side of Duryodhana, on that side, because he kind of fooled him to get on this side. Verse number 10, we have 3 more, then we can stop. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam aparyaptam tvidamete balam bhimabhirakshitam. Translation: our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhim, is limited. Now the names are similar, Bhishma and Bhima, but it's kind of not fair on Bhim to be compared with someone like Bhishma, who's like twice his age, and twice the experience, twice the maturity. But still, there's a lurking fear in the heart of Duryodhana about Bhim. There's any formidable opponent, it's only Bhim. Practically, it's Arjun who is good at archery, but it's actually my cup of tea is Bhim, and he's really strong, and plus he's really angry. Actually, even later in the war, Bhim had taken a vow in that, when the whole Draupadi Vastraharan episode happened, he took a vow that he will kill each and every son of Dhritarashtra. And after the 18 days, it's actually true. All the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra were killed by Bhim. So this whole fear that Duryodhana is having is true. He knows it, that Bhim has it in him, he can do it. And when he is angry, compared to Bhishma, he's like a fig. But when angry, can do a lot. So that's why he's constantly mentioning Bhim again and again, because he's sensing that fear in him. Verse number 11. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastitaha bhishmameva bhirakshantu bhavantah sarva eva hi. Translation: all of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. He can't even fully appreciate someone. Right now he just put up Bhishma, and in the next verse he's trying to say that Bhishma is perfectly protecting us and he's old. So all of you also just don't rely totally on him. You will also stand at your strategic points and try to fight, because he's grandfather, he's Pitama, he's old now. So at some point of time he might give up. And he had a kind of also reliability on Bhishma, because even that day, on day of Vastraharan, Bhishma didn't say anything. So he kind of knew that he's going to be on my side, I know. He's kind of protecting us. But still he is old.
It's surprising that he didn't say anything. Bhishma.
That is why he was killed like that. That's Vaishnava Prad, so you have to suffer. It is very sad.
There was a story behind that also, that he had to
He had to be loyal.
He had to take Duryodhana's side for some reason.
He had to fight on Duryodhana's side, and he could have spoken on that day too. His tongue was not a servant of Duryodhana. His body was a servant of Duryodhana. But of course, he was the only one he would reprimand Duryodhana. In fact, on that side, Kripacharya or Drona, no one would speak to Duryodhana, because they didn't have the guts to speak up to Duryodhana. They were on his remuneration. Bhishma was not on remuneration. He was under some vow. He had taken a vow. In front of Satyavati, in front of the demigods, he had taken a vow he would serve the throne of Hastinapur. And So that way,
he was made to realize that he did raise objection. He was told that you cannot have a say in this matter, and he left the court. He was not there during the Vastrahana.
he was there.
He was there. No, he was
He was
there.
there. Draupadi speaks to him after the whole episode. He was there.
He was there.
He was there.
Only that I'm forgetting the name of the other brother, Vidur. Only Vidur, I think, left the court because he couldn't see.
He couldn't see it, and there was another guy called Yuyudhan. When Gandhari was delivering the 100 children, Dhritarashtra had another child called Yuyudhan. And actually in the war also, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was the one who defected from Duryodhan's side to Pandava's side. It's Mahaprasad. You're lucky today, you get both cookies and kheer. Generally people have to stay with kheer or with... Thank you. Did they get both? It's bonus. Everyone come on Thursday. Yeah, we were discussing about Bhishma. The thing is, Bhishma is a Mahatma. You know what's the definition of a Mahatma? Chanakya Pandit gives a definition of Mahatma. A Mahatma is one whose thoughts, words and action are congruent to each other. Yeah, that means it's not that if you say something and I do something else, or I do something and I say something else, or if I think something but I speak so sweetly to you, what I think, what I say and what I follow with action is always going to be the same. So Bhishma is a Mahatma. Since he's taken a vow, he has to follow it with action. He's taken a vow of serving the throne of Hastinapur. It was very convenient for him to just walk over to the other side. His worshipable Lord was on the other side. In fact, what he told Arjun is that you are not lucky, I am lucky. Because I can constantly get the darshan of the Lord, you are at his back. So Bhishma was actually a person with a lot of integrity. It takes great internal strength to do what is not convenient to you. Yeah. It was very convenient for him to walk over. He would just say that, oh, these guys are nonsense, Can't stay with these guys. I just can't gel with these guys. I just can't
But then
stay.
his thinking was not in tandem with his other thing, because if he's thinking about them,
But he's already made a word. So now he has to follow the word. And what he's thinking, he did tell Duryodhan. He said, I'm not happy with your actions. You're not supposed to do this. He told. In fact, he was not the ones who were, what do you call, chamcha in Hindi? Of Duryodhan. Everyone else, that's why Duryodhan was more spoiled basically, because he had only kind of people around him who would only butter him for their profit, including Karna.
Karna paid
what
the price.
Karna did.
Sorry, Karna was with Duryodhan for his own profit. Because it was...
Get back to Pandava.
He was jealous of Arjun, number one, and also that Duryodhan had given him a lot. Yeah, but when Duryodhan was in trouble, he was the first one to desert him. That's another story.
Manjari didn't want to fight, no? He didn't want to fight.
Didn't want to fight, but Putra Moha was more stronger than righteousness. Ashwatthama was good friends with Duryodhan. Since he stayed with Duryodhan, he also had to stay with Duryodhan. Later on, he lost his life also because of that. He followed Ashwatthama.
Also between Dronacharya and Arjun, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they had no issues. They were very good.
I think.
Yeah? Which Mahabharata are you reading?
Because I'm not talking from Mahabharata point of view. The thing is, I'm basically Jain.
Oh.
And our culture says that you will pay for all your deeds that you have done in this lifetime. And the basic principle of Gita in Jainism is very similar in the sense that you live in sansar but away from the sar. Means you have a family, you be attached to them but not more of them.
Not
You do your
emotion.
duties to them, but do it selflessly, not because they are only your family. Similarly, each and every end of 18 days ke baad nahi, at the end when even the Pandavas are dying, they are not actually dying. Even when Krishna has given up his life, he was cursed, I think, by
Gandhari.
Gandhari, that you will know. but it was a kind of a karma being doled out to him because he let the war happen. And there was, because of these two...
This is in Jainism scriptures, is that what you're saying?
Because of
Do they follow the Gita?
the basic principle.
No.
I mean, not the full Gita, the very basic.
Because in the Gita, Krishna says, Namam Karmani Limpanti. He says that...
He says, "Mo Maya, you have to leave all this."
Yeah. No, what I'm referring to is what Krishna speaks in the Gita.
No, in the end, when even Krishna is left without any dynasty, any heritage, is because it is explained like that because he could have stopped. Because of these...
He tried.
Because of these two loggerheads, humanity was wiped out. Like innocent people were killed in the war because it was their duty to fight. And like that is one of the explanations of your karma cycle that Jainism is explaining.
Have you done Journey of Self-Discovery?
Not yet.
I would recommend you do that course.
Because
What the Gita says is entirely different to what you're explaining right now.
like when Draupadi, I think, insulted quite a few people.
No, he told you.
Yeah, not that. There was another episode. There was some ego issue with Karna also. And
she refused to let him marry. Because she knew that
She said, "I will not marry
he
a
was
low-caste
equal to
man."
Arjun, and he could.
Actually, the statement she made is that I don't know what lineage he belongs to. It's very difficult for me to get married to such a person.
Exactly, that's what she
so Karna,
Which I think I would do with my daughter also, if I had one.
Karna, knowing that Shakuni has made the match rigged and all that, and then later on also that Dhritarashtra's son is on the wrong side. Because of his ego, he went on that side, opposing Arjun, and he had to give his life for that. So that is what Jainism says, that you are given a human birth. You're not an animal. So your brain is above your heart, and God expects you to use that brain to improve this
Intelligence
lifestyle.
over mind.
Yeah, use your intelligence. Don't be a servant of your ego. Generally, like how Jainism explains Gita to us is that when Arjuna is saying that they are all my relatives, one is my grandfather, one is my cousin, how do I think?
Right.
Krishna explains that you have to do your duty. That is what Jainism says, that it is irrespective of their equation with you. Like you may have issues with your mother-in-law or your own mother or whatever. But when it comes to you, you are taught the right and the wrong, and you have to choose the righteous path because you are given a human birth. You get a human birth after a long time.
84 lakh species.
And you get a human birth because of your karmas. So that is what we are relating to Bhagavad. That's why
I have a few questions. Number one, I've told him. He said he'll come.
I hope everybody is okay with it.
No, we're done. We finished the 12th class. 12th verse. We have to do the 12th verse. We'll do the 12th verse and then we'll discuss this. I think I read it, no? I have a very bad memory. You'll have to help me all the time. 12th one, we'll read it? Tasya sanjanayam harsham Kuru vriddaha pitamaha Simhanadam vinodyochehe Shankam dadmau pratapavan. Translation, start. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. Right? So here, Bhishma is hearing whatever Duryodhan has to say, and he said, let him let him keep just talking. You can keep talking, because what is happening? What is the first thing that he raised? He raised is a conch shell. A conch shell is a shank, which is a symbol of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. who's sitting on the opposite side. So the first omen, is in the last verse of the first section, verse number 12. That's the conch shell, which is a symbol of victory. Conch shell is a symbol, it's a very auspicious sign, and apparently the holder of that auspicious sign is sitting on the opposite side. So how is it possible for Duryodhan to be victorious? So the first bad omen for Duryodhan is the conch shell, and the first good sign for the Pandavas is the conch shell. So with that I'll stop.